Everybody, my name is Tracy and Martin. I wasn't raised in the church. I was an atheist for the first 20 years of my life. I'm in undergrad and I meet somebody who, in retrospect, was probably sent by the devil to solidify what he was trying to plant from I was a young child. And that is an antichrist spirit. You know, what's so interesting is that we are a lot more contradictory as human beings and a lot less logical than we would like to believe. Because I remember out of the clear blue, when I started talking to this guy, I said to him, God has brought me this far and I've been through so much. You know, being from a third world country, you see a lot, you experience a lot. It's hard for somebody who is from a third world country to not question some things that you experience and that you see as are they divine? Are these things miracles? Because that I got out of that unscratched, that's not normal. But as my YouTube channel unfolds and I create more content, I will share some of these stories with you. But anyways, jumping back to what this video is about, which is that I used to be an atheist. This guy, looking back, I can see, I am convinced he was sent to seal my fate, to not only be a non-believer, but to be a persecutor of the brethren. When I met him, and like I said about people being illogical, I had a conversation with him one day out of the clear blue. We hadn't spoken about religion. We hadn't spoken about like anything like that. And I said to him, God has brought me too far for me to leave him, for me to drop him. I cannot not have God. It came as such a surprise and you know, so out of the blue that he was like, what are you talking about? When did I ask you to give up your religion? And I thought, from how you speak, like, I didn't even know that you were religious. And then being the human, meaning illogical entity that I am, I said, I don't have a religion. So it's interesting. Ever since I encountered that individual, it's not as if I was just merely now not Christian. It's like something began to rise up inside of me. And I was studying my undergraduate degrees in philosophy. If you've never met a philosophy major, or if you yourself, you're not a philosophy major, you won't understand this. But philosophy students are obsessed with the idea of God. And the obsession plays out like this. God is not real. Let me prove it. As if logic can disprove the existence of God, which is not logical to begin with, because logic is determined upon physics and space-time, and God is not in space-time, nor is he contained by space or time, but he's outside. And those two things, which cannot be separate from each other, are actually contained in the one who created it, which is God. Point being, I would walk around my university campus and I would try to find every Christian that I could. And I would pick arguments with them. And I would ask them to explain with reason how the existence of God merits logic. How is it logical? Nobody ever could. And because back then I was a lot more eloquent than I am right now. You know, the older you get, you realize that those things are not very important. Language is not for the sake of looking intelligent. Language is for the sake of communication. Like I said, every Christian that I could find, I would question them, I would debate with them, and I would make sure it's public. Crowds would always gather and I would demolish them. And I would walk away feeling as if I had accomplished something, as if I had accomplished an assignment. I would walk away missing the point that just because I am more articulate, it does not have an effect, or it doesn't have a bearing on the reality, on the truth, which is that God is real. If somebody's able to explain to another human being that God is real, he's real. And if somebody is not able to explain the reality of God, guess what? He's still real. And I didn't understand that. I thought to win the debate was to cause my position to be right, to be truth, and it wasn't. I had a paper that I had to write. We could basically choose what we wanted the paper to be about. So being the philosopher that I was like, my paper is going to be about disproving the existence of God. Ambitious, I know. And futile, because it wasn't just for the sake of the paper, yeah? It was for the sake of something that I myself have been battling with since childhood. Is God real? So I concluded it in that paper. He's not. Okay, I'm moving on. God's not real. And then a couple days later, I was in my room. I think I was the only one at home that day. It was like 2 o'clock in the day. It was a beautiful day, clear sun. I have to give a little weather report just so that you can understand the magnitude of what happened on that day. I wasn't tired. I didn't fall asleep. None of that. We're talking about an atheist who did not regard the Bible, did not regard doctrine, did not grow up in the church, nor in Christianity, nor anything like that. By that time, a self-proclaimed atheist and a persecutor of people who profess Jesus Christ. So I'm there in my room, tidying up. All of a sudden, there was a weight that descended into the room, and there was a cloud. But I couldn't see the cloud, but I could feel the thickness and I could feel the weight. I could feel when the atmosphere. People, you have to understand, you're not hearing this from somebody who believed in superstition, believed in believed in God, you understand? As far as I was concerned, I was a logical, reasonable, rational human being. So I'm in this room and I feel something that in the 20 years that I was alive, I'd never felt before. I felt the atmosphere change. I felt it shift. I felt the presence of somebody come into the room. But it's not through the door that this being came. It was from above, like it was a thick presence that just fell down into the room. How can I be more clear? How can I explain this more than I'm trying to explain it? How can I communicate what I'm trying to communicate with you for you to understand what I'm saying? For you to understand that I am not using rhetoric or Christian jargon in order to inspire emotions from you. I'm giving you the accurate record of what happened to somebody who was not churchified, did not believe in God, and despised every single thing that was associated with Christianity. I felt a presence descend into that room, and I froze, and I looked around, and I saw nothing. But I was arrested, and it's almost like I could not move. And I wanted to run, but I couldn't. And in that moment, I heard a voice. And the voice spoke. And you know how you're hearing me now? That's how I heard the voice. Like with these, I heard the voice. And the voice said to me, if you don't stop what you are doing, I will cause you to lose your very mind. And in that moment, no, I did not need an introduction. Standing in the presence of God is standing in the knowledge of the existence of God. When He came with revelation to take away the scabs that's on my eyes, for me to understand and to perceive what was happening in that moment to me. And I felt my mind begin to stretch to contain the knowledge of the existence of God. I'm going to say that again. I felt my mind when the Lord came down, when he descended into the room, I felt my mind begin to stretch in order to contain the knowledge of the existence of God. And from that moment, I have never been the same. It's as if one nature died. It's like something died and something else was born inside of me. I have never been the same since that day. As radical and intense as I was as an atheist, it's as if God kept the radicalness and he just positioned me to serve him instead of to serve the devil. I didn't conceive of a choice. He showed himself to me and I grabbed onto what I saw with dear life. I love Jesus. And when he spoke to me that first time, I can't tell you that I was sure it was Jesus, but I was sure it was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't know how to tell you that I knew, but I knew. But afterwards, a few weeks afterwards, I remember asking, and he confirmed that name. Let me just throw this one out there, this nugget. The moment I turned Christian is the moment that all hell broke loose. I started getting demonic attacks. Things were happening. Demonic activity was happening. But you see that name? You see that name? Jesus, it is powerful and it is effective. Because when the demons would come to me, and I would be frozen in fear. Because to come against those entities, if you're not afraid, you're a fool. Because if you think the devil does not have power, then you're living in a world that is not real. If you think you cannot be hurt by satanic darts, you're not living in reality. And just to encounter with these beings, it is downright terrifying. And unless, if you have not encountered, if you have not experienced, you don't understand what I'm saying. But in those moments, when I would open up my mouth and I would say, the blood of Jesus Christ is against you. And when I would call upon the authority that is in that name, the demons would flee. So this is not a name that I just know in theory. You too, I understand the power in that name. I am so grateful. I am not going to come up on YouTube and cry. I am so grateful that God, who was watching me commit sin to that degree, this guy and I, it wasn't a sexual thing. The sin was beyond those things. The idols that we made, the places that we went spiritually, the things that we touched. When I consider, when I look back on where God has brought me from, I am so humbled. I am so grateful. I feel so blessed to know that God watched me do those things and even persecute his people. He delivered me not only from Satan, not only from that guy, but he delivered me from me. Did you hear what I just said, you two? God delivered me from me. In fact, once the reality of God was unfolded, there was no choice. It was mere logic. If God is real, where else shall I go? I didn't conceive of a choice. He showed himself to me, and I grabbed onto what I saw with dear life. But yeah, I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot, and I really hope that what I say helps you and blesses you and gives you not only the encouragement, because I feel like YouTube has enough people to encourage, and encouragement is important, but to give you the tools to discover the door, the exit to get out of situations and circumstances that neither doctrine nor theology, but only experience, is able to show you the tools that are necessary to unlock yourself out of those destructions. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'll be sharing more videos with you guys twice a week. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you felt blessed. I hope you felt loved. And I hope you felt encouraged.